right, welcome everyone to the ROE podcast. We're doing another live interview here. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're in the chat right now, make sure you throw your questions out there. I'm going to be keeping an eye out so I can ask them to Jesse. Jesse, welcome to the channel. It's been 4 years in the making, I think.
Fantastic. As long as I've been involved with Resident Evil.
Yeah, I know. Well, as long as we've been together, the ROE started with Resident Evil 7, so yeah, it's definitely been a while.
Great.
Well, for everyone who doesn't know you outside of Resident Evil, can you kind of give a little background, a little information about yourself, introduce yourself to the fan base?
Hey guys, my name is Jesse Pimentel. I'm an actor, and I got my start in Los Angeles, California, and been in New York City for the past 5 years. Just making it happen out here. What's the cutting my teeth?
Cutting your teeth, yeah.
Getting the ball rolling. Yeah, I'm a California native. Love dogs. If you can hear one in the background right now, she's barking for no apparent reason. And love doing motion capture. Love being involved with the Resident Evil franchise. That was a lucky get for me, booking this thing. And then since then, it's been sort of like this journey, getting to know everyone, and I'm growing as an actor because I got it pretty early in my pursuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like as I get older and as I just become an older, more well-rounded human, my appreciation for being involved in this, and my ability to keep rolling with it and then get to do another part. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Were you surprised coming from 7 that they were pulling you back in for 8?
Well, I would hope they would call me in. I got pretty close with a lot of the people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you never know what's. They did the remake before that.
Right.
And they didn't call me in for that. So but honestly, I didn't even realize that I'd come out. But so I was happy to get called back in. I guess I really didn't have much in the way of expectations.
Right.
Like you kind of. I guess the one way to put it is I knew after 7 that there would be an 8.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I assume that there's going to be an 8, and so I guess part of me was, but it wasn't really thinking of another character. It was more thinking in the terms of like Lucas Baker, if they were
finding a way to bring him back, right?
If his story was going to continue, because I know he got like killed in the downloadable content, but I felt like they teased that he had a little deeper motivations and he was a little more involved with some stuff. So I thought maybe they were going to expand on that, if anything.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. They put on a twist on him because he could have just been another villain like Jack and Marguerite, right. But he was more of a cerebral. He was the Jigsaw-esque type killer with the traps and the funhouse, and then it teased that he was on some bigger level with the whole storyline.
That's why I expected that maybe to see some sort of logical conclusion, but I guess that was the downloadable content, was just like the reveal was in the first place, to lead you into more, understanding of
what's going on behind the scenes,
manipulating these people,
Yeah. Let me hit this super chat real quick. DZMS Productions, $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Definitely, guys, make sure you're asking your questions. I'm keeping an eye on it. So let's talk, I guess, about 7. 7 was your first foray into mocap. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question real quick. Yeah. Sorry. Is there a way I view the chat, or you just shoot them at me?
Yeah. If you go to the link that I sent you for the stream, you'll see on the side there'll be the chat somewhere in that. Yeah, under the YouTube link there.
Got it.
And you can keep an eye on it as well if you see something come across it that's interesting.
Cool. I want to make sure I was doing that. Can you see me right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, so what was the question then?
7 was your first really adventure into mocap, right? Your first getting into the gaming world and mocap and performance capture?
Sorry, what was the question then?
Hang on. 7 was your first really adventure into mocap, right? You're first getting into the gaming world. And yeah, can you mute? Yeah, it's playing in the background.
Really confusing. I gotta take this off.
All right.
Sorry, man. I don't understand why it's got even. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's playing in the background.
Jesus. I gotta take this off.
All right.
Sorry, man. I'm bad with this stuff.
Yeah, you got it. All
I
right.
think I did.
All right. Technical
Wow,
difficulties. We're good.
that was weird.
Yeah, this is just loop that never ends.
Yeah, I know. That was like, well, that was creepy.
Was so seven? Was that your first, I guess, experience with motion capture and getting into gaming?
Yeah, that was my first. That was great. That was my first motion capture job. Yeah,
Was there
yeah.
anything before you had done the game that may have prepared you for it, or was it just a completely new, crazy experience?
Well, I mean, I kind of had training. Like like I went to acting school and I trained for probably 4 or 5 years, and I took it very seriously. And in
Right.
that time, I did we would do anything from Commedia dell'arte. I played a Harlequin
Oh yeah.
uh, in one production, and even in back in the day when I was in my junior college, I took like masks class.
Okay.
Like you would have to act with your body essentially. Like
Right.
you wouldn't have your mat, you would have to wear a mask the whole time, and so studying from that to then studying on camera techniques and stuff.
Mhm.
I was ready to play characters, I guess you could say, and that
Yeah.
when making it part of my thing, I was, and the thing about motion capture is, there's a lot of improv, there's a lot of like imagination.
Right. Right. Right.
You're opening up a fake door, and then you're setting your gun that's really just a block of wood
Right.
on a table that's supposed to be a cadaver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah. You
so like,
gotta definitely all up here.
yeah, so like, as far as like everything I learned in acting school, everything I need, it was like kindergarten, right? Everything you need to know, you learn in kindergarten.
Right.
Everything I need, everything I need to know, I learned in acting school for something
Well,
like
imagination wise was kindergarten too, though. Technically, I guess, right? Just like being a
that.
kid again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the more I act and the more I consider things, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In preparation, Sista A in the chat here had a good question. In preparation for seven, did you use any kind of dialect coach to help you get the accent down for Lucas Baker?
Yeah. They did. They Resident Evil. They really in Rosanna. She's like the producer who puts this on. She really cares about this stuff, and so
Yeah.
she hired a dialect coach for us.
Oh, cool.
She had a woman come in who had worked with a lot of people,
Mhm.
and they kind of brought up. It was kind of so like for me, it kind of gets lost a little bit with Lucas because he's often maniacal,
Right.
but like supposed to be like you know it, it it's like the New Orleans accent, so you
Right.
kind of go more like that, I mean, but like Lucas, it's like you can't really do that, because like the way he was insane, like it's kind of like it doesn't, it's more up in the nasal, so it wasn't really as noticeable, but like you could hear it really with Jack Baker.
Yeah. 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 Well,
you know
Jack Brand. I mean, he really his emphasis on that accent was strong.
so that was where the woman was coming from.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then with Sarah is so far from Marguerite in general. The voice is just completely out there. But I love how you just slid right into Jesse, or Jesse slid into Lucas like it was nothing right there. The voice
Absolutely.
just came right there.
Always ask me to do that one.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time we talked, we were doing Toys for Tots 3 years ago or so, and I
Yeah.
sent you a script, and you record those awesome lines for JJ and Bob's
Oh,
stream.
great.
That was
Great.
awesome. And then you did the Christmas songs as Lucas.
I love that. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that. That was
that was a good
fantastic.
time. Those were awesome. It was, I mean, I think that just elevated the stream that much more because they kept getting Lucas popping in and giving these challenges, playing the game with them. So it was pretty awesome.
You guys were doing too. I was really happy that you guys hit me up for that.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
any chance I can never help with that kind of stuff, please feel free to. I love doing anything that has to do with charity or helping out.
yeah.
It's great when you can kind of like use what you worked hard to do, like your passion for something good. Because it's easy to feel a little, I don't know, like you're being an actor, you're kind of like, am I being a selfish person? Should I give myself to a more social cause? And then
Yeah.
the age old adage, like, well, when I get there, I'll do stuff. I'll change the world with my charities. I'll be a big philanthropist. And it's like, well, what can you do in the moment, you know? And so
Yeah.
anytime I can lend my voice, even just to help a little bit, man, I'll be all over that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when we do our Toys for Tots this year, I'm sure we're gonna have some Resident Evil themed content for 8. So we'll definitely
Lord.
work something out. It'd be cool. TZMS, another super chat. Jesse, what is your favorite cheese and why? I don't think we've ever had that question before.
Well, to be honest, I'm not much of a cheesehead. I'm very particular. I'm a picky eater. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Uh, but I would say that I like cheddar cheese, orange only. I don't like white cheddar. I like orange cheddar when it's on a burger or something like that, and then mozzarella cheese when it's on pizza.
Okay. I've, why that question? TZMS. What's with the cheese question? I've never seen that before.
Never know.
Appreciate it though. Thank you. Um, Now you got to work with obviously the phenomenal cast of Seven, and you built those relationships with everyone.
Yeah,
After Seven, you had a nice little tie-in VR experience there with Todd with the firefighter experience, right?
yeah. Firescape.
Firescape, yeah. Which you met Michelle on there. Did you meet Michelle? Was she on mocap for that?
She was, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then you three of you carried on Resident Evil 8, which is it's
yeah.
funny how things work, right?
It's a small world.
Yeah.
It's small, it's easy, right? Because like, people always ask, like, like, what does it take to become an actor? Oh, it's so competitive, and it's like, it's more of a war of attrition than anything. It's more about just like sticking around.
Hmm.
Around for 8 to 10 years, and you really put like your life into it, like your study. There's no like it's a skill set. It's a craft like anything. And so you just work it long enough, you get good at it, you get confident, and then you get in it and you realize, like anything, it's a small world.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it
there's
really
people,
is.
and there's all kinds of situations where it's tiny, and you're working with the same people, and
Yeah.
so it's cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's got to be like a good feeling to show up and be like, okay, I recognize faces here. Well, Resident Evil is one thing aside because they've carried all the cast over for the most part from 7 and 3 into 8, so a lot of familiar faces for you there. But to show up to something like the firefighter, what is it, Fire Escape?
Yeah, it's called Firescape.
Fire Escape. I keep calling it Firefighter Escape. To show up and see Todd, and then to come to 8, be like, oh hey, there's Michelle. She's back too.
How about this? In Firescape, Todd's the antagonist,
The switch,
and I'm the protagonist.
right? Switching roles.
Play a homicide detective. He's trying to figure out who. Never mind. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, for anybody who's got the VR capabilities, make sure you go check it out. I haven't. I Now that you've said it, I need to actually go play it because that sounds. I want to see that dichotomy, that mix, the switch of you two guys. I want to see
Right.
Todd as a villain because he's a great protagonist,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you. I mean, between Lucas and Salvatore, I mean that's two awesome Resident Evil villains right there. One who is sadistic, completely sadistic, wants to play games with his pets, basically,
Right.
versus Salvatore, who's sympathetic in my opinion. I think he's a very
Oh, yeah.
sympathetic character.
Totally.
What kind of notes did they give you when you were taking on Lucas, and then how different was that when you came back to do Salvatore?
Oh, it was totally different. Well, first it was a different, like, directors, like,
Right,
on the ground, right? So that was already different.
right,
Naveed, who did Biohazard, he worked with like Rockstar doing like Max Payne and
yeah,
GTA, and Steven, who did this one. He's a little more, even more up and coming, and he's European. So like
yeah,
that's already have its own. Naveed's Iranian, but he's like he's an American cat. Like we live, he's over here in
yeah,
Brooklyn.
yeah.
And so he when I was doing Resident Evil 7,
Hmm.
it was very maniacal. It was very it was and like they kind of like we found the character, and then once we found it, it was kind of more of the same.
Yeah,
I felt like Moreau, it was a little bit of kind of an invention here in the moment. I felt like Moreau, I wasn't quite sure what they were doing with Moreau the whole
right,
entire time. Lucas Baker, there was a point where it was like there was like a shorthand. Naveen and I would have like shorthand,
right. Okay,
like stuff to like talk about, like especially because like the way it works is you act on the stage
right.
and he directs, but then there's the Capcom guys who are like the big dudes, and Hazaki-san, he's the man.
Yeah,
They're so kind, so great. They all are from Japan, and so we have to have an interpreter there.
yeah,
And so like essentially like there's an interpreter, and then there's Naveed or Steven, and then we act, and they direct us, but they direct us off of the notes from
Coming from Japan, right?
the developers, from the
Yeah.
video guys. So when that happens, it's kind of like a collaborative effort that goes through, a couple of different channels where like they relay to Naveed or they relay to the director what they want. The director talks to me, I act it out, they watch,
Right.
then they give him notes, and then he did. But it's also they listen to him, he gets a lot of input on it. It's not like we all get like a fair amount of input. They're not like super like regimented.
Strict, right? Yeah.
It's very artistic and it's flexible. Like we've even improvised. Like we've
Nice.
like
Yeah.
done straight dialogue that's improvised. So
Okay.
like if you can think about that, like doing improv in a video game, it's pretty wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But they have the capabilities to do that now. But what was I going to say? Sorry, I lost track. So in Resident Evil 7, it was much more. I feel like I don't know how to say. It's like I knew the character much sooner.
Right. Okay. Made more sense right off the bat.
And
Yeah.
with Moreau, it was more like, I hope this works. And it was cool, and it was fun though. It's fun doing that,
Yeah.
and kind of coming from that point of view. And but they're so different too. The good thing about Moreau though was that I got to be a lot more heartfelt.
Yeah.
Like he very much is not. I never once kind of viewed him as an antagonist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taker was very violent.
Yeah. Very violent. Yeah. Straight up antagonist.
Yeah. There's no, even if he never got hit with that mold, he would have been a little, he was a little.
Yeah. They showed in the writings that he was evil before any of this happened. He already had issues.
Not the same case with Moreau,
Right.
quite the opposite. So that was really cool,
Yeah, it was really interesting with this character. It seemed like he was desperate for love and affection, and approval. And I don't know if that was a result of something he had before, like Lucas, where he had this maniacal nature before, or if it was something he developed after he became, this mutated fish form. Um, did they discuss any of that with you? Like some of the, prior, like where did this character's mindset come from?
Well, I mean, like when I first auditioned, so like Rosanna hit me up and she goes, there's this part that we'd like to have you read for, and we, it's a new director,
Mhm.
he doesn't know you, and he's got his own people essentially.
Yeah.
But we really love you, and we think that this part is a challenge, but we think you can play it, and
Yeah.
do you want to audition for it? And I was like, yeah, definitely. And so I had to travel to Los Angeles, on my own to read in person for them,
Yeah.
to show Steven that I could hack it.
Right. Right.
And, that's smart on his part, like, because when you're a director and stuff, you got to make your project good. And you got to make sure you got the right people.
Right. And it's not that you're not qualified for the project, but maybe you're not clicking with the director,
right.
or the creative behind it.
Right. All of us have worked as hard as possible and given our lives to it, and we all deserve all the chances in the world.
Right.
So like, it's not a personal thing, if a director wants to work with his people, they've all earned the right to do that,
Right,
and so
right.
I was, and I understood, because I was more than happy to hop on a plane and 24-hour notice and come and read for them. And and I showed him that I could do it, but like it was a lot of like not quite sure what we were going to do with it. And I honestly was under the impression that he was a protagonist in it, like a sort of like I guess like the Duke in a sense, like
right,
sort of like
right.
someone who maybe provides Ethan information and who's like this kind of like weird sidekick that shows up once in a while. And I don't know if that was true or I misinterpreted it, but it was more just because of like the dialogue in the audition originally was different. It was like it was a different thing. And honestly, I don't even think I was. I was thinking that I wasn't even sure that I was a fish monster at that point, and I wasn't sure if I was a villain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was a fish monster. I don't think I was. I think like I wasn't like honestly, I think that was like a few months into me playing the part when the fish thing started happening. I don't think like the
Yeah.
first day we shot. I think they had it like the first. I think they knew the first day I shot,
Yeah.
but like, I definitely felt like the fish thing was the last thing to come in.
So it evolved from when you first auditioned to what you actually started when you were shooting.
Like sympathetic, from what I interpreted as a sympathetic Igor type
Yeah. Yeah.
to a villain, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's that far off. I think maybe he was always a villain, and I was just wrong about that. Which in that case, like a fishy Igor, is not a wrong way to say.
Igor is a good description. I was trying to think of something similar because he's got the hunchback, and yeah, Igor is a very I guess a very good relatable between the two because Igor himself is a sympathetic villain in a way because Frankenstein, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Joseph Saltani has a super chat says my favorite line in Village. Oh, Mother Miranda, it's if it's for you, I'd do anything. Great effing job, Jesse.
Nice, man. I love that line too. Actually, I
Yeah.
felt really good about that one. Yeah.
The voice. Where'd the voice come from?
The voice was, was my own making.
Yeah.
Just they, Rosanna gave me a point of reference. She said,
Mm-hmm.
check out Ron Perlman in the name of the rose,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and he's kind of like an Igor type. And I
Yeah.
watched that, and he doesn't, his voice isn't similar to mine, but I just kind of thought about, first off, like the protrusion of the jaw would probably lead to an underbite.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
There's thing is a lot, and then the way they described it to me was that he has thing, his throat's closing up.
Huh.
So I made sure to, have to work for it. And then from there, that's how I built the role. And then you just get better and better at it the more you practice and stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting. There's not a lot of people that do in this game alone, like crazy voices. At least Salvatore is the one who's got the most unique voice as his natural speaking voice. So it's interesting to hear you describe how you developed that. That's pretty cool.
Hey man, yeah, that's the job. I do it.
Yeah, and this is your first time doing, I guess, creature work too with that too, because he is a bit of a creature. He's not upright, perfectly healthy human being.
Yeah, that was a physical one for sure. Like that definitely took some mentality. I mean, like I'm like when you're an actor, you train for all this stuff in school, and like you get all the opportunities. Like I know how to work with my body. I do like Alexander technique movement classes, chakras, rasa boxes. Like I talk about that stuff all day long. And so like, and I don't like advertise it a lot, but I definitely put it into consideration. You got to think of a guy like that, where he's imploded, where he's exploded. You roll from that a little bit, and then you start to give the physicality of it. And also they add like a little backpack thing, like a weight I was going to wear for
to
a
kind
little
of get you used to having some kind of weight to that position.
Yeah, the idea was I was gonna wear it the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was kind of impeding on like some of the close-ups I wanted to get, some of the movement. And at that point I'd been wearing it long enough where like kind of mimicking the mimicking the posture of it was the same. It looked the same. It didn't look like I was any different when we would go and watch the playback, or you'd watch they watch the playbacks of it and stuff. It wasn't like they were like, oh no, you got to wear that thing, man.
Yeah.
No, take it off because we want to get that over the shoulder shot. Like we want to be able to catch you looking over your shoulder and saying something, and we can't with that way.
Yeah, that's I guess that is a good thing because that could have probably just been a headache the whole time with his weight on your back, constantly having to carry that around. Did you see any like initial concept art? We heard that there may have been some really interesting designs for him, where maybe at one point he had a love interest that had passed on, but had somehow, I guess, fused into his back. It was some weird, it was really crazy from what we heard, anyways, from the concepts.
I mean, like this is what I'm, this is what I'm saying. Like it was always changing, and also that like they had him, like from my understanding, he wasn't like a bad guy. Like he would have a romantic person fused to him. I mean, obviously it's bizarre, but that's also shows that he comes from a place where maybe he's not such an antagonist.
Yeah, and you definitely get that feeling. Again, I think like each house was very unique in their own way. Between Maggie and the lady, the Dimitrescu house, that gothic whore, very regal, and then there's Heisenberg, who is almost like a Lucas character, but not as sadistic in this situation. He is a tinkerer, an engineer. He's a smart guy, manipulative. And then you've got the Donna, House Bienvento, where it's more of a sad tragedy, but still it's a hallucinogenic. It's a very cerebral horror. And then you've got Moreau, who is a creature horror, but he's also a sympathetic villain. And it's a good like dichotomy, a good mix up of all the different houses, and they all leave their impact. And I think what was so special about Moreau was that sympathetic side to him, that he wants to be accepted, he wants to please, he wants to be loved, and that's at the cost of Todd, and Ethan's character. Then
I mean, isn't that kind of like a bummer for me? I know, I'll be honest, man. Like getting to play that as opposed to like, not that I didn't love Lucas. Like I love Lucas, but like every actor always looks back on his stuff and was like, "Whoa, I wish I did that."
Yeah.
So being able to play a character where I was able to split the difference, where like people really didn't see him as like a villain, people saw him sort of sympathetic character. Is what I was hoping for. Or what I guess hoping for. It's what I was playing. It's what I was being.
Yeah.
It's what I was doing. That was the goal.
Yeah. Well, you nailed it. I think that impression comes off with most people. I mean, I'm sure there's people who don't like the character because it's a villain or whatever the case, but I think the general consensus was he was a sad, story, basically, a villain by circumstance.
Good job.
Yeah. Proxy has a funny, he says Moreau is my favorite goldfish.
Permanent bowl.
There's definitely a lot of crossovers between similar, like how familiar you're not like a gamer like most people that watch right now, but are you familiar with Resident Evil franchise, more specifically Resident Evil 4?
You have to because like I've like read them, like I read it, but no, I haven't played them. I didn't grow up playing them.
Yeah. So. Well, there's a section that is very similar to 8 with Moreau's character. It's a giant fish creature that you have to kill while you're in like a boat, a very small canoe, basically. So it's cool that that there's like a callback to that, and I think there's a possibility that if they do end up remaking Resident Evil 4, that there's going to be some crossover there, and hopefully we'll see a lot of the cast come back from 8 and 3 and 7, because I think you guys are pretty much ingrained with it. But who knows at this point? Who knows what Capcom's doing?
My phone's always on for these guys,
Yeah. And so you guys don't know until several months into filming.
Yeah, they just hit you up and just go, "Hey, man."
Yeah. TZMs has another super chat. Jesse, did you get any say in the voice lines? Any ideas? Like you were talking about a little bit of improv. Was there anything that you guys kept that was not initially in the script?
Well, Monroe, that didn't really have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
My lines were limited. His dialogue was limited. I mean, I can't remember. I can't remember how, like everybody has a different style, and I think like with Steven, we did like we didn't change things up a lot, but we did a little.
Right.
He was pretty open. If he wasn't like, "You're saying the," you know what I mean? You're saying and like he was just for Naveed, if I remember correctly, several years back, man, we would like we would just sit there and rewrite stuff like right on the moment. And, so like in Resident Evil 7, yes. Resident Evil 7, yes. In Resident Evil 8, not so much, but honestly, it wasn't really called for. Each project is different. Like I'm thinking back to Resident Evil 7. What I really think of when I say this is I think of that monologue where I pull my fingernails out.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think we ended up improvising like most of that. And it was like, we talked about it, we had an idea, and then later on when I had to match it, it was just funny especially because the story, like, Naveed and I going back and having to loop it, because we're like improvising, and so then you got to go back over an ADR and make sure you hit it right.
Yeah.
And there's like transitions in that thing that like like you could only do in improv, like you could. And it was so intense that like when we're trying to match it, and he's just laughing. He's like, "Hey, bro, you did it.
You did it. Do it again."
You know what I mean? And it was just like, we got it.
Well, Lucas has a lot to say in 7. Moreau, not so much. He has a lot of not a huge part, but he has a lot of enraged parts when he's in full fish monster form, screaming at Ethan the whole time. But Lucas had a lot of dialogue, especially in the later parts, because he becomes the main antagonist in that game towards the end.
Yeah, he's got tons of dialogue.
Yeah.
In that show. in that episode, that game. I mean,
Something like that, as an actor, is that exciting to come into a role and be like, this guy is all over the script?
yeah, like I don't know. As I get older, I when I was younger, yeah. Now I get older, I kind of like I took a part in a film. Like there's this indie film, you know, and they first called me in for the lead, and the lead had a ton of dialogue, and I wasn't that crazy about it. And the antagonist, the villain of the film, he's got like one line the whole thing, but he's got like literally like he's in like 40% of the movie.
Yeah, it's just not talking, but he's just there.
I took that part,
Yeah,
right? Like in my mind, I'm like, what can I do with so little, and how
yeah,
much can bring you into me? And I know that's going to make me a better actor. But as far as like speaking lines and dialogue, like I guess I like it's cool. It's cool seeing that, It's also a little like, oh shit, I gotta memorize a lot of stuff.
right. It's like, yeah, it's good, but at the same time, it's like, damn, that's a lot. There's a movie that came out a couple months ago from Nicolas Cage called Willy's Wonderland. It's kind of like a twist, a reimagining, I guess, of Five Nights at Freddy's. Where it's the animatronic robots are trying to kill you, and his
Right.
character doesn't talk the whole movie. And he said that's the reason why he took that project was because he wanted to see if he can perform as well in a script that didn't have any dialogue for him, a strictly physical performance.
And
And
that's
it's
the
Nick
kind of
Cage,
thing,
so
Yeah, you gotta be able to do both. And so I like both.
yeah,
When I was younger, I used to like a lot of lines. I guess if I was doing theater though, I'd like more lines.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
In film, you get close ups.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
in the
know.
theater, you're getting that direct feedback too from the audience. So being active in the performance in the play, I guess, probably feels a lot better when you're actually, in it. As a
Literally in a film, right? Like in a film, you can have a whole monologue without saying a word, just through a close up.
yeah, exactly. You've got the different camera angles, good direction.
Yeah. So you know.
Resident Locust has a super chat here. Says, "Hey, yo, Jesse, loved your work in Village. Just want to ask, was there any headcanon you came up with Moreau while portraying him?" So we kind of dove into like how you create the character. I guess what was that core characteristics of Moreau that you held on to make sure you had the character always locked in?
Oh, like I liked, sort of like I remember that he was like it's kind of gothic.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, sorry, sliding is going crazy. There's this like 9 Inch Nails, like 34 Ghosts, that
Yeah.
CD. I think I said that in one of the other interviews.
Yeah.
Track 4 especially, like I really used that to drop in. Just I had like a lot of visions in my head of him walking alone on a long path, like a long dirt road, like a long road,
Yeah.
over, you know, hills, and kind of just like all by himself, just walking for hours and hours, getting to where he's got to go.
Yeah.
And like 8 miles and takes him, 20 hours. And I think just like picturing him doing that. I was just, and so I'd walk. One thing I do a lot when I play a character is like just like take my character outside into public, like
Huh.
so to speak. And so I walked around as Moreau and just kind of like felt lonely.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, definitely get you in that headspace.
man, that's stuff you can kind of drop into.
Yeah. That's
So
I don't think a lot of people have really explained it in that way. I'm glad you did because that's a very detailed, specific way of thinking to hold on to like a character like that, to take him in and developing their mindset, because it's one thing to portray that character, it's another thing to be that character in the moment, and you have to get in that headset.
you gotta take your character out. You gotta wear it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
make it. And the only thing that you really, as an actor, like gets in between you and doing a good job is confidence, and hard work.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like hard work, like suffering, but it's just like you gotta just let it go. Like you can do it. You just gotta give in and
Yeah.
commit. Commitment's huge.
uh
It's just like,
so, like this again, this is two games you've worked with some of the, like Paula, bringing her back in, which again I think I've said this in every interview, especially with Paula, because I love that behind the scenes that we got of the church scene, where we've got Neil, we've got Maggie, we've got Andy, we've got Paula portrayed this little bitty evil doll, and then you as the hunchback there, and just your bickering back and forth. Just makes me smile because I know that's two actors that love what they do, and they're just working so well off each other, and they've got a bit of a history there.
and I wonder that maybe is like because it's like Moreau kind of like to kind of like like you try and put yourself in the character's head, and it's not like this, like when I say that, I don't mean like ephemeral like thing, but like we all are jealous, we all feel insecure, we all feel
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
You can really, if you really think about it, you can imagine what a character might feel like. And Moreau is someone who also likes to feel safe.
Yeah.
He likes to be comfortable, and I found myself gravitating and trying to be near Paula
Yeah.
while we were shooting because I
Her
felt comfortable.
her natural energy. She's just
I
awesome.
never shot with Neil at that point. I never shot with Maggie, and maybe
That's
that
true.
was why.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
know, maybe it was just because for whatever reason Moreau queued up on that. But I felt, I went with that notion.
Yeah.
I mean, I like went for that. Like I like didn't shy away from it.
And it's
Sometimes you can use that stuff to your advantage.
it's funny in that scene too because Heisenberg I think refers to Angie and Moreau as children, and in that
Right.
setting they definitely feel like the children of the group. You've got the parents, and then which I'm assuming would in this situation be Maggie and Neil, and then Andy would Donna being like maybe an aunt or some there's the whole dynamic there. But you've definitely focused in on Angie and Moreau, and they're bickering. They feel like the children of the group.
Right. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Uh,
Like,
Katsuka has a question here that is interesting. Do you have any dream roles, whether it's on stage or in a video game or through a movie, something you've always would love to play, or a style of movie or something you would like to work in?
of course. I would say that right now, like my biggest is I would love to play. I'd love to be in a Marvel project.
Yeah,
I'd love to play a hero or a villain for
right.
Marvel. Preferably like one of the big dudes, like uh, that'd be a dream come true.
Yeah,
Uh, I would love to play um, Timothy I was talking to one of the other guys from Dan Allen Gaming. I was telling
yeah,
him
Dan.
Timothy Treadwell from Grizzly Man.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, biopic about that. But there's all kinds of I'm trying to make my own stuff
Yeah,
too. I dreamed of playing all kinds of different things.
yeah.
Like it's always, The Sopranos is my favorite thing ever. So if I could land on a
I
show like The
was,
Sopranos,
yeah. As soon as I started asking the question, I was like, I feel like mafia, and
yeah,
maybe that's the New York in you, being out there.
I know honestly, like the reason I'm an actor today is because of The Sopranos,
Sopranos is a great show.
because of Goodfellas, because of The
Yeah,
Godfather.
Goodfellas, Godfather.
So in that regard, like playing to get on a show where I get to play something like a Christopher Moltisanti or Tony Soprano,
Yeah,
and carry that for 6 or 7 years and embody something like that and take people on these rides. That
yeah.
would be just the dream of a dream.
I've actually caught myself in the last couple of months. I follow some channels, I guess, on YouTube that post a lot of clips from shows and movies, just short clips. And I've had like this running group of Sopranos keep coming up, so I keep clicking them all the time. A lot of scenes with Christopher.
I've seen every episode like 100 times. That's like our office, Like
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
it's always over the background, Sopranos.
yeah. Joseph Saltani has in there super chat. Says correction. I'm the best. Best line in the game. Yeah. Moreau. I'm the best.
Oh man, he's confidently unconfident.
Yeah, right. He's confident but not confident at the same time. That's interesting. So you you talk about Nine Inch Nails? Is that your industrial metal or just rock in general? What's
Oh, I like everything.
yeah,
I mean, look, when I play a character, I take music and inspiration and music.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
everyone loves music. First
yeah,
off, how often do you hear people say, "I don't like music"?
right,
Like, to know what to know what your character likes music wise is very important.
hmm,
And I always build a playlist for the characters I play,
okay,
and so I listen to everything, because I really need to get out there. I need to know what I need to, for one sometimes for one guy it's it's rap music. For another guy it's all prog rock. For another
yeah,
guy it's classical music.
huh.
You just kind of get to hop around, and that's what's great. Is I get to have an eclectic taste in music because I'm constantly trying to discover new stuff for inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, you're diving into different people. Basically, you're embodying different characters that are outside of your normal life. So
Really,
it's interesting to build a whole musical database to emphasize characteristics of them. What's Lucas's music?
Oh man, Lucas likes you'd find Lucas listening to some Pantera, you know,
Pantera.
Tool, like maybe even some more like unmentionable hate rock.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's fitting for the character.
Also like some
Some
Skinner.
Skinner. Yeah, some Southern
Yeah.
rock in there with some.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
man. It's got Credence for
Credence.
sure,
Yeah, definitely gotta have some CCR in there. I mean, it's Louisiana, so.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I could see that. He's definitely a Tool, Perfect Circle type of guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tool for sure. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned that in the chat too. Where did I see that? Oh, Sister A. I'm more of a Tool Perfect Circle person. Yeah, well, so you have something in common with Lucas then.
Yeah, what's funny is we were listening to I showed my buddy earlier today. I was playing a hooker with a penis and by Tool.
Yeah, great song.
It's just like because like as an act like as a just an artist yourself, it's just like like selling out, dude. Like
Yeah,
like giving my like I've sold everything I have. Like what
yeah.
are you talking about?
That's what
Like
I love about Maynard's lyrics.
yeah, it's
Um,
just so straightforward. It's like
yeah,
hey, bro.
he's basically referring in this song, talking to someone called him a sellout. He's like, I sold out long before you ever knew my name. And then talking about I sold my soul to make a record, and then you bought it. So who's the dumb one here?
What do you think this is?
Exactly.
You just roll out of bed and become successful. Like yeah, that's how it works, dude.
Yeah. Not like I haven't sold my every bit of who I am for the last 20 years to make this. Yeah. Yeah.
And for good reason. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to try and like put yourself to try and like gatekeep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like keep it like it's gotta happen one way or another, man. Just
Yeah.
like give into the moment and say fuck it and try and make the best art you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about Sopranos, Orpheus, Chaos. How about some gabagoo? Gabagoo.
I was some gabagool.
Some gabagoo. Yeah, Sopranos are
And
great.
like in cold cuts.
Yeah, cold cuts.
And she goes, I think it's dish is the best served cold. What's the difference?
Yeah, the gabagoo. It's now I'm stuck on the Sopranos because I love that show.
Best writing ever.
Yeah, it really is. And I remember being a teenager watching that when it came out, like mid, 15, 16, and just being blown away. Yeah.
Yeah, always quoting it.
Such an awesome show. All right, well, we're winding down here. I guess let's. Actually, I want to talk to you about yesterday. You did the part of the big cast reunion. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I love just being involved. Like I we're all so comfortable around each other. I get along with people a lot, and they're also, they're all patient with me, which is really good because I'm kind of like they're all very technologically savvy and they're good at what they do, and I kind of am like, oh wait, where do I have to go? What do I have to do? And they're all like, no, Jesse, we figure it out for you. Don't worry. And I love going on there and seeing Katie and Paula and Nicole and all the
Yeah.
Maggie and everyone, Sarah all at the house, and it just makes me want to be back in Los Angeles for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, nothing official, so we're not gonna say anything, but maybe sometime in October. Everybody,
You never know what could happen.
you never know what could happen.
And support we get.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, actually, let's bring that up too. Fan support. So we're approaching the return to normalcy. I guess we're seeing conventions starting to kick up and come back in live, in person conventions. So if you guys want to see Jesse or any of the other cast members in your local conventions somewhere, close to you, make sure you're blowing up your conventions. Hey, you got to request them. They don't know unless you ask, because most of these people that run conventions are a little bit out of touch with what the fans want sometimes. Right. So make sure you're requesting them, and then they'll do their best to make it a possibility. So social media. So where can they follow you for social media? We were talking about your Instagram from yesterday. Man, some more on tonight.
Yeah, it's just at Pimentel.Jesse. You can check me out. I'm tagged with all the other Resident Evil guys, so it's not hard to find me. And I'm also on Twitter. I think it's the same thing at Pimentel Jesse.
Okay.
But those are the only things I'm really active on. But anyone hit me up anytime. I will say this though, based on the kind of I like to talk. Like I'm a chatty Cathy, and I like to tell stories. And I got all kind. You guys don't even know, man. I got some crazy stories I could tell. And I've been active for a while here, and I've been doing so. I'm looking into starting a Twitch and doing stuff. And I'm not like a big video game guy, so if I did, I would have to need my fans like I need like fans, like I need the Resident Evil fans, like I need all of us to like get together and help me beat these games.
Yeah.
But also like I like what I would hope to do is maybe do like a little podcast situation. We bring out some interesting people to talk to.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we play the game, but we also talk. You know, I really want people to like, you know, people to maybe we can like do something cool where we learn some stuff and talk some philosophy or something too.
Yeah. See, that would be interesting too. It's like, yeah, I do the interviews. I bring everyone on here. We have good conversations about the games and your career and all that. But it'd be nice to just sit down and do a long talk on the philosophy. You know, dive into lyrics like Tool or
Yeah, talk about these things, you know,
Yeah.
and then playing video games, you know, at the WoW. Maybe we start on Twitch, you know, that's kind of so I'm probably gonna get a Twitch going here soon because I want to engage, you know.
Yeah.
I'm 34 going on 65, like with the way you know,
Yeah.
it's like man. I see Nicole, I see Neil, I see all these guys just crushing it, doing
Yeah.
all these playthroughs and having a blast, and I'm just like, okay, like this looks fun. I want to do this.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what I love about the cast is they've embraced not only the fans but our kind of content, getting out there and doing live streams. Nicole's all over it, Neil's all over it, and it's
Want to be
yeah,
flexible too,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's a good way to get your name, not even just get your name out there, but to build that strong community behind you. People that support you, you know, and that's what that's what basically content creation is all about. Is you love something so much that you want to make content, and then you hope other people enjoy it because they love it too. So, but yeah, so make sure everybody go follow Jesse's Instagram and Twitter. Keep up with what's going on. Do you have any announcements? I'm sure you'll be putting them through there. Were you doing Streamly autographs?
I'm gonna have that up and running soon too. I mean, you
Okay.
could, like I have a Streamly account again. This is all. Sorry, you know, if people want to reach out to me, they can, and I can always like do autographs. But I'll have the streaming. I'll have the thing. I get people asking me a lot, so now I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, it's gotten popular since last year, especially within the Resident Evil community. I think a lot of people really appreciate those more intimate signing sessions, and getting their autographs so they can support and throw them up on
That's
the
the
wall.
thing. Yeah, like I'd like to sell printed in it, but I also want to make sure people, if I do it, you know,
It's a very personal experience.
I interact with them and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, any parting thoughts? Any words to the fans before we wrap this up?
Man, guys, thank you so much for always having me on these things, and I just loved all the attention and all the like, you know, all the appreciation for the hard work, you know, and I only hope that you know, I can keep giving people good performances that they can remember and hold close to their hearts, you know, like Baker.
Yeah, as much as we hate him, he's still a great villain in the series. Probably one of the more interesting ones, just because of he was a different approach from what we have seen before.
It's great doing back to backs too. It's great.
Yeah, he's a different type of megalomaniac. And then to have the complete opposite with Moreau, this sympathetic, compassionate villain. Great work, man. I love having you in the series. I'm glad we finally got together and talk about it, and I hope to see you back here in future entries, as well as any other content we have going on. We'll bring you back on, do some Let's Plays. RoCon is still coming up again, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely.
Can't wait.
All right, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to get as many questions as I could in there. If you didn't get a chance to get your question asked, go follow Jesse on Instagram or Twitter. Throw your questions out there. I'm sure he'll be more than willing to answer. Maybe throw some interesting stories your way. Outside of that, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And stay tuned for more Resident Evil. We will catch you back here next time.
Peace.